Driving the long road to the northeast towards Kapama, I had plenty of time to think, and I've concluded, like many before me, that Africa is a truly strange place. In Africa, many roads seem to lead to one destination. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, the study of meaningful coincidence. Not long ago, I had my own experience of synchronicity, and like Carl Jung, I felt that there was some strange kind of non-causal connecting mechanism at work in my life. Let me explain. Last year, I traveled overland through southern Africa on a personal safari. On my way back to South Africa, I stopped off by chance at a farm in Zimbabwe, where I met and played with a herd of tame African elephants. How strange that nearly a year later, I should meet these animals again, this time in South Africa. Africa has such a consistent way of connecting us to each other, to places and to animals, that a person like me, with a big fat mystical streak, can only think of as magical. It happened like this. The Mpumalanga bushveld of South Africa is breathtakingly beautiful. I was, as I said, traveling to Kapama, to Camp Jabulani, in fact, within the Kapama Private Game Reserve. Partly to recapture the feeling of centrality I knew from my bushveld safaris as a child, and partly to ride on elephant back through the bush. I chose to stay at Camp Jabulani because it's the most exclusive camp in Kapama, and I felt the need for comfort and luxury. I wasn't disappointed. The camp for the creme de la creme. My writer friend David and I unpacked and went to the main lodge for a quick pre-lunch gin and tonic, and enjoyed the swaying suspension bridge that provides safe access across what was now a dry riverbed, but which roars and foams with life in the rainy season. We arrived just before lunch and were greeted by a luxurious spread out under the trees on the patio of the lodge. Jabulani is all earth and thatch. The architects have been inspired by the natural materials of the bushveld, and the combination of organic and Afro-modern styles sit perfectly together. This is 20s elegance from Kenya, with a modern edge. Karen Blixen and Dennis Finch Hatton would have been perfectly at ease here amongst the sybaritic luxury of an outsized tub and fluffy white towels. There's one feature that's a special favorite of mine, an outdoor shower. Glass enclosed, But built out into the elements, an enormous shower store like this really makes me feel at home in the bush again. There's an eclectic assortment of fascinating knickknacks at Jabulani, ranging from potent medicine masks through whimsical beaded dolls to a pair of really elegant Georgian-style armchairs. Surprisingly, all this is perfectly compatible. Africa itself is pretty eclectic too. After lunch, we all went off to the Kapama Project Cheetah Camp, run and owned by Lynn Torode, a true African angel of mercy for orphaned or endangered animals of all kinds. This elegant, almost fragile-looking woman has a will of steel and a soft heart. She's almost single-handedly built up this costly but precious enterprise that protects and cares for animals like the cheetah. The cubs know Lenta well, and when she calls them, they come running to greet us. They are totally entrancing, wild and nervous, but tamed too by love. Meeting them and touching them is an absolutely precious experience for me. Since my childhood, I've dreamt of the myth that once in the distant past, we possessed the power to speak with animals, to communicate with other species. Today, I live that myth for real. Lenta knows each cub personally, and they respond to her cooing and caresses like naughty but affectionate schoolchildren. Being so close to a wild animal is a privilege that will stay with me for many years. Lenta's training their hunting instincts in a small way with this ball. The old explorers always said that you should never run from a hunting cheetah. The sight of a fleeing creature seems to elicit in them a primal desire to chase and ambush. And watching these little bundles of spotted fur, I think there's probably a lot of truth in the story. Being close to these essentially gentle creatures, who really pose very little threat to people in the wild, I find it completely incomprehensible how anyone would ever want to kill one for sport. And when Lenta takes me to see the marvel of her pride, her king cheetahs, I feel that profound kingship with the animal kingdom, a kind of mystical at oneness that the African bushmen still possess, and which we once had too. Seeing this magnificent predator playing like an oversized pussycat with Lenta makes me think that we've been deeply misguided in our long attempts to interpose a conceptual space between ourselves and the rest of the natural world. We're probably not fallen angels, but rather risen apes, as linked to the whole creation, to the whole of the expanding cosmos, as bedded into its fabric of birth, death, and recreation as a dung beetle or a distant star. Killing animals, we each time kill a little of ourselves as well. Listen to that purr, like a phrase on the cellos. The cot of the king cheetah is differently marked. The broken anthracite spots and stripes that you see along its backbone are a diagnostic form of dichromism. The king cheetah is bigger too, and more stately and elegant. Certainly more elegant than this lumpy little rhino calf that we encounter, along with his mom and dad, dozing in the heat and grazing idly on the sweet grass. These three pachyderms are the wild cousins of the tame little rhino that Lenta saved a short time ago from death.